is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 49. We're one away from 50. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend, Z and Me Show, a.k.a. Le'E James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Easterdamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashion Easta, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Eon Stonkwell. Look, not going to talk about the weather again, but like, as long as we keep losing, or at least not winning, I'm going to keep that mediocre at best running joke going here. To be fair, the weather, not great today. A little cold front came through, a little rain this morning. But how are you feeling after another frustrating night as a fan of the Verde and Black?
I feel like I'm doing better than most Austin FC fans, unless there's a large Lakers Austin FC crossover contingent in our groups here. I was pretty conflicted watching both of those games, being really happy about one and then really not so happy about the other. So I'm somewhere in the middle right now, tired. We played a lot of FIFA last night too.
We did. That's become our therapy post-game.
Yeah. And it's like reverse therapy because we just get more of that.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about our results, FIFA-wise, but those weren't great either. Definitely didn't have anything to do with, our levels of sobriety or the time of night.
Mm-hmm. There's a thin line when you're playing FIFA when the soberness, because you want to be a little lit. You got to have a little lit to get.
Yeah, you got to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, you got to have your rational confidence going, but then it's a very fine line. You pass that, you cross over, and then you're not doing anybody any favors. But we got to talk about it. The season keeps going on, baby.
Yeah, and like we said a couple weeks ago, the average analysis will continue. So Let's get into some of that. And I guess the only thing that would be worse than just being an Austin FC fan is an Austin FC and Dylan Brooks fan. Let's get into the soccer talk. Into the soccer talk. Okay. Austin FC was taking on LA Galaxy late last night out there in Carson, California. First things first, starting 11, comes out. I know I was for sure. I was ready to see Jossie back up top. Maxi Rudy got the start. And again, I think both of us maintain, like, whoever starts at the 9, like, we're fine with it because either guy's gotten going. So, but then the big question was who's going to fill in for Diego Fagundez, who, and again, I guess we can go there real quick, is Diego. We didn't have that injury update on the Wednesday episode, right?
Yep.
Then press availability late Thursday morning. Shout out Phil West, always out there and bringing us the pertinent information. Diego Fagundez, grade 2 groin strain. So I think 4 weeks is extremely optimistic. That is the early into the time frame they gave. I think 4 to 6 is the general recovery time from that type of strain. But I'm not, and maybe just the pessimism creeping in even further for me. I'm not surprised if it's 6 to 8 weeks instead. But it's better than what we were, at least I was thinking, kind of the doomsday. Maybe he's out for the season prediction. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's only 4, but again, Finley wasn't terrible.
No,
I guess that's become our bar for our players right now. Were they awful?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is. I mean, I guess I'm excited about that, considering how we felt about it when they were not giving us any updates and the conclusions we jumped to with that. So yeah, I mean, with the 11, I said I wanted Maxi again simply for Seba, and Maxi was the worst player on the pitch for us.
Yeah, he was not good.
He was awful.
Yeah,
he was awful, and all he wanted to do was bitch at the refs. And like, he was horrible. Back to Giassi now for me. Like, we gave it a shot here again. He's been atrocious the last 2 games for us when he started. So no more. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to try to pick right now, but at least Giassi is going to have his mind focused on the game and not the referees.
Yeah, I mean, and
we're awful.
Yeah, I don't think the officiating was great either. Certainly, Coach Wolff thought so. Yeah, and you're not making the argument that it's like, oh, well, Jossie's been that much better, but 3 straight matches of Maxey, no goals.
Has he got a shot on the
net?
And
I don't think we've seen a Maxey start this year, CCL or league play. We haven't seen a Maxey start with a goal for Austin FC yet.
Correct.
He's scored in all the games he's come off the bench or not played. I don't think that means much, but it's notable. It's not like we've scored a shitload of goals with Jassy starting either, but it's clear. Kind of like we were saying that like Maxey is just not the answer. And I don't think there's any one player we can put on the pitch and some sort of switch is flipped.
That was my argument for Maxey, was hopefully it would just flip the switch for Seba.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is the one hope that we can take out there, is that, we theoretically have one of the best players in the league on our squad. And that also did not happen.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it here. I guess continuing through the lineup here, like you mentioned, Ethan Finley did get the start. It was interesting. Kind of the one thing we had left to debate about before we kicked off last night was, are we going to see Finley just slotting in for Diego on the left there, or are we going to swap those two around? And the latter was what came to pass. Ethan Finley got the start on the right. We moved Rigoni over to the left. Same 11 outside of that. But then there was some very interesting and I think promising, there's not too many positives that came out of last night. But for me, the bench availability of 2 center backs was a big positive for me, even though neither ended up touching the pitch. Alexander Radovanovic and Kip Keller back on the bench here, alongside Zardes, Valencia, Redis, Jimenez, Lundqvist, Bruin, and of course, Bersano. So yeah, man, for me, I think with those 2 center backs on the bench, I think there was potential there for if the game was going our way, maybe if that goal right before halftime was onside, and we'll talk about that goal or disallowed goal. Potentially there was room to bring Owen Wolff off and shift Alex Ring forward, because there was no Sophie Jeffel. Obviously, Johan Valencia ended up coming in, but we were behind. So I thought maybe we were going to get Radovanovic or Kip in there for 30 minutes or so at the end and move Alex back into his spot at the 8. But, even the best laid plans, something like that. Any other takeaways from the lineup for you?
No. My main takeaway is from their lineup in that game. I think that we should preface, before we get into the minutes here, preface that with their squad. Okay. Sure. You're right. They switched to their 3-5-2. Yeah. Which is what they used in the second half versus LAFC to get some shit generated for a team that had yet to win.
They've done it a couple times, I think, to a lesser extent, where it's the last 20 minutes. And again, I don't think you and I, and maybe you had noticed this somewhere else, but I had just gleaned that from more of the national pundits talking about the Galaxy.
I also noticed it when I was in their subreddit and just
right, doing your infiltration last
doing
week.
The due diligence. So they went to that, which they had success with, and we talked about in the last pod. It's fuck, man. We're not doing ourselves any favors, but we're really not catching any breaks right now. Obviously, we knew that this was a talented squad. They had been beat up a little bit. Cheech was coming back from injury, getting reestablished. So, and there was somebody else that they had a couple. The name is escaping me right now, but they were getting healthy and kind of starting to gel a little bit. As we were coming into town, then they roll out. They roll out Ricky Pooch, Cheech,
Is Ricky our boy again or not?
I guess he mitigated and hedged our frustrations for sure. Is it Bregman or
Brugman?
Brugman?
Yeah, I guess I'm Brugman.
Good.
He's very good.
So like you look at that and you put those 4 guys that I just mentioned right there off the top of my head, and they're better 1 through 4 than we are at their their top players. So once they, I saw that lineup, I was like, we both looked at each other when we saw Joveljic and Cheech up front, and we were like, fuck.
Yeah. Yep.
And Joveljic and Cheech gave us fucking headaches all night.
Yep.
They connected on the first goal. Joveljic is very active. He's physical. He plays hard. And I mean, again, Alex fighting for his life back there. He's just super undersized. And like, it's a tough spot for us right now. So we caught this team as they were kind of getting something going. And I mean, people who, again, are smarter than us and with more MLS knowledge picked this Galaxy team to be successful this year. And, it's unfortunate that we happen to be their first win. But is this as down bad as we've been, even more so than the first season?
Yeah, because the expectations.
Exactly.
And I'm never going to be able to get back to 2021 levels of having no expectations and just being happy that we have had a team.
Yeah.
Because you tainted that for me. And I think everybody else, maybe to an even greater extent, considering some people's, thoughts about how we should proceed as fans here. I think maybe the one guy that they did get, I know they got back Caceres, right? Martin Caceres.
That's what it was.
The red card.
Yes.
Which was, funny in and of itself against Houston 2 weeks ago, going up and touching the official while he's doing the VAR check. Like, come on, man. All right, well, let's get into it here. I don't think we have to spend as much time on these minutes as we typically do, just because a lot of the action that was, I think, notable was more LA in the attack. Because they were extremely, like, it wasn't just those 2 up front. Like, obviously, Ricky was kind of playing midfield general there, but you mentioned Brugman and Tyler Boyd, I thought, was dangerous down the right. He gave Johnny some trouble. So let's get into it here. And, of course, Austin wearing the – okay. One last thing before we get into the minutes here.
Yeah.
Earth Day in MLS is the fucking worst.
It's an atrocity.
The worst. Like, I could care less what the jerseys look like. They could be the best jerseys of all time. To put them in every game the same, just changing the team logo that you can't even see because the jerseys are shitty.
Yeah.
Like, and it's been like that every year.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're a fan of the white jersey or the like peach colored jersey that they had last year, right? And like, that's probably one of my favorites of the 6 that we've seen in our 3 years as fans here. But, like, it's just so dumb, especially when we're at home watching on 360 and they're flipping around to games. They're doing quad box. I have no idea what game I'm watching.
No clue. Who's even in those jerseys.
Yes. Can we do something else for Earth Day? Like a patch and a big donation or something. Yeah. Something else.
A patch and you buy a fucking swatch of the rainforest.
Yeah.
And you save it. You don't just make a bunch of shitty jersey out of recycled plastic bottles.
Yeah. Charge $100 for it.
It's insane.
I don't know, man. I hate it. I've hated it all 3 years. And my hate continues. It's not at all bolstered by my rage at our favorite team. Let's get into it here, E. Right off the first minute, Rigoni on the left there gets a 1v1 opportunity, creates enough space, crosses it kind of to no one. Like, Owen ends up getting under it, but the other 3 guys in the box were running towards goal, and this was like in swinging back towards the top of the box. I thought it was not great placement, but Owen gets under it, connects with his left foot, and doesn't make good contact, goes over the bar for a goal kick. And then next possession, second minute, Boyd, like I mentioned, Boyd the first time beating Johnny down the right. And I guess, like, good on Johnny, kind of caught up to him, but there was enough space where Boyd got the cross in, and Joveljic was open right in front of Stuver, and Leo, flies in, last minute, heads it out. I think for their first of many corners on the night. Get that corner out, and we're starting to go back down the pitch, 3rd minute, and Ricky, come on, man, hands off the merchandise, stomps Maxi's foot. One of the earliest yellow cards I've seen in our time watching MLS. Any takeaways kind of from that first 10 minutes there? Because I thought it wasn't so much one-sided, where like the last couple matches we felt like the first 25 to 30 we've been the better team or the more aggressive team, more successful team in terms of buildup.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more balanced here through the first 10, 20 minutes.
I agree with you there, especially considering the way the game then shifts and we just start to get dominated.
Well, I guess I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here. 8th minute, Gallagher, I think it was Tyler Boyd there, but whoever was marking him on the left side just gets dusted by Johnny, like a little stop and go, and he's gone. And then his through ball to Maxi, a little bit too strong, but miscommunication between, I think, Jalen Neal and John Klinsmann back there. Neal hits it so hard to the keeper that it bounces like right in front of the goal, and Maxi can't get around him, and nobody else is trailing the play close enough to tap it in, and Klinsmann gets it out. But then that out for a throw, the ensuing long throw from Lima, who I thought was really good with his long throws last night, and Leo, this one gets to Leo's head. Leo got to multiple long throws and redirected those balls, and that's what we saw a lot last year from Ruben and Julio. And of course, with Julio's absence and Leo being new, we haven't seen a ton of that at all this year, so it was good to see that contact being made. This one in particular falls in between Rigoni and Finley. Finley pokes it on frame but goes right at Klinsmann, which is another theme on the night for the few shots we get on target.
I do want to say that has been one of the things that we've missed from Julio that we just completely overlooked was his presence in the air on the offensive side. They're getting, he had several header goals.
Dude, he was a top 3 offensive center back last year, I think, by many metrics, whether you're just counting goals and assists or like more the analytical stuff, goals added, things like that. Like, we miss him.
And same with Ruben too, is that he did every now and then give us like some offensive possessions. He had that one like back heel pass, like assist last year, a couple of headers. So we really missed that from Cascante. And that's just something that Alex can't provide.
For sure.
Because he's just too small. But hopefully, once Julio gets back, I don't know if that's actually just going to really be kind of this turning point for this offense, if it's going to get our center back. But it really can't be understated how much we have missed that in the start of this season. So we need him back.
Well, we play out of the back. So like, to me, that's the one thing is like Alex obviously is a good passer. And I think even better than we thought, like a bunch of our Austin FC friends kind of educated us on just how good and important he was in the long passing department last year out of that midfield spot. Yeah. But, now we're missing that in the midfield. Owen, while he's been fine with his passing, like doesn't just maybe not up to par in terms of Alex Ring, former all-star in the league and obviously a seasoned veteran. But moving him back up to the midfield, even in a bench role and having Julio in the back, that's part of our offense. We build out from those guys. And so like similar to what Coach was saying the other week about our forwards and their contributions defensively, saying that the Vancouver clean sheet was not just about the defense, but also those guys putting the heat on up front. I think you can probably say the same about the back line and helping us build up in attack. So yeah, man, Julio, I guess we're still targeting the May 6th match. Like, I guess I just misinterpreted what Josh was saying about Radovanovic and Julio for May, because obviously Rado was, you don't put him on the bench if there's not a possibility of him playing. But that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing that he's seemingly ready to maybe get minutes.
Honestly, this next match coming up versus San Jose here, I do want to see Alex pushed up to the midfield and one of those more traditional guys, even if it's Kippy. Fuck it. We got to try something here. We have to. Like, we got to try something different here.
Yeah.
And if we have been missing those passes so much from Alex to help us score goals, then we got to give it a shot, and then even roll the dice with one of those newer guys or Kippy in the back there for sure. That's just what I want to see.
Yeah. So I am certainly looking forward to Wednesday's episode, not just because we're back in the studio, but because we're coming back home to Q2 next weekend. We're going to see, I think, some changes in the lineup, and the fact that now we have these extra center backs, or not extra, we have center backs available to slot in there. It's a step forward, even though we just took another step backward, losing Diego for an extended period of time.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so after pretty one-sided 15 minutes or so, like Austin did have some momentum right around 15th minute, but between the 10th and like the 25th, it was a lot of Galaxy. They really started to find their mojo. And then 26th minute, another fucking scare. I was seconds away from putting out some sort of "we're fucking cursed" tweet as Brad Stuver goes down, holding his hamstring. Trainers come out, ends up staying in and playing fine the rest of the match. So may have been a little gamesmanship there in terms of like trying to slow down what the Galaxy were building up to at that point of the game, but collective sigh of relief when he stayed in. And then I think really like the next time he made a save was a couple minutes after that, like had to stretch out another play where he had to run out and get to a ball before Joveljic could get there. And it's like, okay, like we're fine here. False alarm.
Yeah.
32nd minute, good possession for Austin. Arutian's up with it on the left, and his pass is nearly a turnover, puts it behind Seba, who's kind of streaking down the field. And we've seen a lot of that, not just from Maxi, but a lot of those guys in the attack just not being super accurate with like a key pass. And I know like key passes are a stat that I'm not actually quite sure how they're determined. So all of these are not key passes, but when we're like building up on a break, especially, it seems like we connect on 2, 3, 4 passes, and then the one that's really going to spring us for that final action in the box just doesn't find its target. And that felt like another one there. Luckily, Danny finds the loose ball, and he lofts a through ball to Maxi, who had then just taken off. And I think couldn't quite get there, but it did get deflected out for a corner, which was Austin's first corner, 32 minutes in.
They had like 8 at this point?
Something like that. Yeah, I think 12-2 on the night. And I think the big flurry of LA Galaxy corners comes right after this. That ensuing corner went right into Klinsmann's gloves. 36th minute. Ricky Pooch turnover creates a 4-on-4 break for Austin. Seba leading the way. He's on the ball. Pulls up from 3 again, off frame, out for a goal kick. Would you like to see, I guess that we can talk a little bit more about Driussi right here, because I've been on this tip for a few weeks where I'm saying, like, look, we can focus on guys like Rigoni and Zardes, the new faces of this anemic attack, but it falls on everybody. We've heard the coaches say that. We've heard the players say that. Driussi putting out an Instagram post this afternoon, of course, in Spanish. The best translation I can do here, he said, it doesn't matter that you do 99% of things right. People always look at the bad 1% together until the end. Look, I get what he's saying there. I get what he's saying. He also, for what it's worth, he turned off comments on that post, probably because idiots like me wanted to say, bro, who do you think is doing 99% of the right things right now for this team? But I get his point.
Yeah.
I would love to see him. We know he can hit those shots, right? But when we're on the break like that, especially with how good he is at distributing the ball, saw it against Montreal, the game winner started from him on a 4-on-4 break and distributing, and he doesn't show up getting an assist, but the goal doesn't happen without him. And I would love to see him, especially early in the match here. We're not even through the first half. Find a teammate there. Like, let's create a higher percentage chance for ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see him just be like, hey, I'm going to try to take my man one-on-one, and that's going to draw the defense. And, he's physical and strong enough where he can also overpower some center backs, particularly if he's got a full head of steam behind him. So, yeah, like you said, just we make plenty of basketball kind of references here. You say he's pulling up for free. I want to see him get to the cup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
go
want
to the hole.
be aggressive and try to get one, and it was just kind of a cop-out shot. It just kind of put the heat, like we had some heat on them right there. At this point, the game's still draw, and it just kind of was like just a little bit of a bailout because you got to hit it perfectly.
Yeah. Well, think about the second goal was his one goal in the Dallas playoff match. It was coming right off the heels of Musa with the power shot in the box right off the corner.
Yep.
But it's another similar play where Seba's leading the break. And he takes those extra couple touches, deke around the defender, get a better angle, and end up putting it away. Again, I'm not saying that could have happened here, but I feel like we're seeing more of those, for lack of a better term, like desperation shots.
Yeah.
When we're not desperate yet.
For sure. And I mean, all right, let's go way back. World Cup.
All right.
Seba celebrated the cup for at least 3 weeks, right?
He was out there. He was out there.
Absolutely. So, and I have no problem with that.
Of course.
Absolutely not. But it puts you behind the 8 ball.
Kind of like what we were. I mean, again, we have no confirmation of this, but kind of like we're talking about Diego. If Diego skipped the voluntary team workouts in the winter, not against that, especially if you're negotiating for a new contract, like we were talking about it. We're fine with that. That is part of the game, right? When you're a professional athlete,
it's a business.
But it probably didn't help that. You think Seba's out there at the World Cup and getting full training in, and again, like, not that you need to be going balls to the wall while you're on vacation, but I don't know. It just seems like maybe another. I'm glad you brought that up because that does seem like it kind of bled through the entire team, especially those those top players that maybe took a little bit more time off than was good for us as a unit.
Took our foot off the gas a little bit, and now we're playing catch up. Sure. And that's the danger in it. And again, like we've said before plenty of times, I also have no problem with it. You got to be able to enjoy your life. These people, they're human beings. They get to do things that make them happy outside of soccer and all the fucking time. I get that. Yeah. But this is the pitfalls. These are the pitfalls of that, especially when you're a team that's not ultra talented and the margin of victory, the line between winning and losing, when you're talking about the top 1% of athletes in the entire population, is very thin. It's razor thin. And sometimes that's what makes or breaks it. Not that this is, not that our lack of success this year solely falls on Seba going to the World Cup. Right. I don't want anyone to try to interpret it that way. Yeah. But we're just playing catch up, and we have been for the entire season. And it's hard to catch footing that way.
When we're not just, I don't think we're just playing catch up because of maybe some of the, off-season decisions that the player personnel made, but how about front office? Yep. Like, I think we're seeing the ripple effects of Claudio's bad decisions throughout the club now. And I did not think at the time when all that was going down that it was going to have such a negative effect on us. But I think it's bleeding through the coaching staff, particularly Josh, who is now playing GM coach. And I think that's one of the biggest things. I guess we can talk about things we would like to see, like where we go from here. Hiring a sporting director. Yeah. Full time. Like, whether it's taking the interim tag off Sean Rubio or bringing somebody else in, we got to take that off Josh's plate. We have to, because it's impossible to get a fair assessment of his coaching, first of all, in the small sample size, despite what people hate to call this a small sample size. We ain't getting rid of Josh Wolff till end of the season at earliest. And that's if we finish out of the playoffs, 10th or lower in the West. Yeah. Maybe ownership is having a conversation about that. But that's the thing. Just like fans got, you guys can put all this pressure on Josh you want, Wolff out, making graphics, this and that. He ain't getting fired.
No.
And I still have yet, and we are far from the first people to say this, I have yet to see somebody bring a replacement candidate to the table. Guess what? It ain't going to be from within.
No.
Because they run the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to change if we put Davey Arnaud in Josh's seat or Brett Utley in Josh's seat up from FC2? Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we just got off on this Wolff in conversation. But like, we're not happy with Josh. We can't be.
Yeah.
We can't be happy with the performance. But
yeah, especially in this game, I was definitely disappointed considering how much we've preached. Hey, we have to have the ball to be successful. And then you look at the possession for the end of this game, and it's 62-38.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep saying, we got to have the ball. We create good chances when we are in possession. We play out of the back. We want to have, multiple touches that lead to some scoring attempts, and then just get completely dominated. And also the passes, the discrepancy between like completed and good passes in this game was massive.
Yeah.
But yeah, until somebody can come up with something that, makes sense for a replacement, not only from who they are, but in regard to what system they want to play with in combination with what this roster is built of, then until then, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we can go ahead and get back into this, but we'll take another 30 seconds before we jump back into the minutes here. We did just we're recording this Sunday night, early evening, 7 p.m. start local time or 7 p.m. Central time, 5 p.m. local time out there in LA. Austin FC 2 taking on Galaxy 2. We'll have the recap of this match and previewing the FC2 upcoming home match next weekend on Wednesday's episode. Lineup just came out, of course. Damian Loss in net. We do still have the Sal Kip Keller pairing back there. Keller on the bench, still available to play tonight. Hafferty in there. Charlie Asensio to the bench. I think you actually called that Asensio getting rotated out. Check Touré back in there. On the left, midfield of Noel, Valti, and Bobo. David Rodriguez in there. Micah Burton in there getting a start. And Alfonso Ocampo Chavez. So on the bench, we've got Santillan, Lopez, backup keeper, Steve Louis-Jean, EJ Johnson, Alonso Ramirez, Charlie Asensio, Sebastian Pignot, Anthony De Anda available off the bench. Hopefully we see him make his debut tonight. It's another thing that recording early lets us actually watch this match. And then CJ Fodre off the bench, returning to his home state tonight. I imagine we see him make an appearance. So there's the starting 11. Any takeaways for you on this cut-in of Austin FC 2? Any takeaways from the lineup there?
One takeaway.
Okay.
Avenge us, children.
Yeah. Continue.
Do what you do. And you avenge us.
Would love to see another Micah Burton goal. How about a Bobo goal tonight? Or goal contribution. Excited to watch that here in a little bit. Let's jump back into our sorrows here. 38th minute. This is really like the big flurry of Galaxy corners here. I believe 3 in a row. That is at least 2 of the last 3 games where we've seen a sequence of 3 straight corners or more for the opponents. I believe the second one in a set of 3 here. Falls to Brugman at the top of the box, dips around the defender to the right, bends it inside the right post, and Stuver makes a great save to parry that out for the third corner.
That one didn't it hit the post first? Am I getting this confused?
You might be right. I did not see that.
If this is the one shot where it's like low on the right side, it hits the pole first.
Hits the pole, then hits Stuver?
Bounces off Stuver. I'm pretty sure. So
maybe more luck there than anything? Yes. I don't know.
Maybe we'll verify. But I think that might have been what happened.
Well, after that third corner, after the Brugman shot, Austin gets it out trying to go down the other end. And they do, and then end up turning it over. I think Maxi's the one that commits the foul. And then he gets yellow carded for stopping that free kick and interfering with the restart. Like that's one that maybe he could see things. It is frustration for sure. And that's probably the primary factor in it, because we've seen Maxi be extra animated with the officials over the last few games. He's always been, again, a theatrical guy out there. And maybe I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he could see something down the pitch that we couldn't see on the broadcast angle, that he's stopping a potential break. But man, whenever if he ever gets to that fourth yellow and then maybe a fifth and that yellow card suspension looms later in the season, we're gonna look back maybe on that yellow and be like, oh, that's one we just can't get, especially when we don't have a ton of options up there. I don't know.
It was stupid. It was stupid.
Yeah.
They weren't doing anything. They weren't trying to go fast on us. We had we had 9 guys behind.
Yeah.
It was stupid. And we just can't put your team in, like, nothing came of it, right? You know what I mean? Like, nothing came of it. He didn't get
now he's on a yellow. What if,
Exactly. You can't be doing that to us.
Mm-hmm. Well, 42nd minute, Galaxy get free again down that right side. Another great ball from Tyler Boyd. To Chicharito, Stuver dives to redirect that. Like, if he doesn't get a mitt on that, Chicharito's tapping it in.
Yeah.
And then Pooch comes in on the offensive rebound there, and a great defensive slide by Owen to block that shot. And I think Pooch ends up getting back onto it, and that gets deflected out for another corner. But I thought great move by Stuver there to get in the way of Chicharito finishing that ball, and then a great instinctual slide there by Owen to block a power shot from Ricky Pooch. Next minute. What's that?
2 great effort plays.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next minute, Galaxy still, obviously that went out for a corner, so they still have the ball. Joveljic at the top gets a pass away, and Leo slides in late, ends up getting carded for that. I thought that was a fair call. One of the few calls I was like, okay, on the night in terms of that official. 44th minute, good Austin buildup. Owen puts in a look. I know people are frustrated with the crosses, and maybe there's an aspect of luck to this, but this cross from Owen went right to Maxi. And Maxi's probably brightest spot on the night, brought it down really well, connected with his shot attempt. It gets blocked by the defender, but I thought both of those guys, some of their brighter spots, or one of their brighter spots on the night for both guys. And one of the better spells of possession in the first half for Austin there at the end. 4th minute of extra time, stoppage time here in the first half. Seba goes down. Galaxy go the other way. They end up turning it over, and Austin charges back ahead. Great ball from Rigoni. Again, one of his bright spots last night to a streaking Gallagher down the left. And Gallagher gets into the box. Driussi has now gotten up at this point, drops it back to Seba. Seba slots it home. We celebrate, and it goes to VAR. It was ruled offside on the pitch. Goes to VAR. And I think we, at the time last night, thought that it was ruled offside by John Gallagher being off at first. Turns out the ruling was that because I think it was Brugman had to avoid Seba when he got back up, that counts as offside because you are influencing the play. So if Seba would have made more of an effort to get out of the way of the LA defender, that may have counted. So I get it. It's frustrating because great pass by Emmy, great run by Johnny, and good job slotting it home from Seba, but called back 0-0 at the half.
I don't know what Seba did there to warrant that the call was justified by saying he impeded him. He didn't move.
Yeah, on the rewatch, I think it's a fair call because the defender does have to take a step around him, whether he moves or not. He's in an offside position, right? And the play is coming towards him. So it's on him, I think. Again, we call in official North End referee Brian Hensley in here and get his ruling. But to me, like, it made sense with the explanation I saw from, again, people smarter than us, that because Brugman, I think it was Brugman, had to take that one step off of his line trying to get back in front of Johnny, that does make it offside because Seba came from the offside position. But super unfortunate. And, like, again, in real time, it didn't look like he affected the play, which is why we celebrated like he didn't. So, Into the second half we go, and it did not get better for Austin. 47th minute. Great touch by Danny to take it out of the air. Seba turns with space and just kind of lets the ball get away from him. Like we've seen a lot more of that this year where like heavy touch here or there, miss-hit pass here or there from Seba and from everybody. I don't want to just be picking on him because he still had moments of brilliance last night. He was still, where the eye test or you're looking at any of the sites that rate the players, he was our best player again last night. But that was definitely a disappointing, another like 4-on-4 type of opportunity where we just turn it over. 54th minute, Chicharito scores off a great pass from Jovic right at the top of the box. Fucking cheeky touch. It gets Chicharito in one on Stuver. At 8 feet from the net, he slots it home easily. Nothing Brad can do about that. And I think sometimes you got to credit the offense for the other team. I don't think there was a particularly anything that stood out to me defensively for Austin on that series. I think it was just a really good play by two really talented strikers.
Two good players.
Decent build up here for Austin. 58th minute, a great turn from Owen, just opens up all the space in the world. And then he winds up for a shot that ends up like, I think the announcer said, it looked like a half pass, half shot because it's like on the ground. It goes and like nails whoever was marking Maxi in the box. So Owen could certainly have done better with the finish, but the turn was what I think it made me, woohoo, like while we were watching the game or something. 61st minute, Boyd pulls Galley back after dusting him again, gets a yellow, a deserved yellow there. 62nd minute, here's that other long throw from Lima, finds Leo's head. This one falls right to Driussi. 8 feet from the net, he puts it wide. This is where I have it. Like, you have to do better as you're Sebastian Driussi. You got to put that away.
Have to. And maybe we can get out of there with a point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, fuck, man. It's just been the story of this season. And you keep expecting it to change, but that's sports for you. Like this isn't just a scripted movie where, because we're putting in all this effort and hard work and like one of these is just going to get bagged for us. Like he's got to make that, and to what was this, like about 10 minutes in, 15?
That was 62nd minute.
Okay. But to have that in relatively close succession from the disallowed goal. Again, just a gut punch, like Gervonta Davis last night.
Man, I also thought at this point, and I think we were kind of noting this amongst ourselves watching the match, I thought there could have been subs right around this point. And it takes another like 10 minutes or so to get the subs in, but I'm still very much 60-30 Zardes Maxi. Whoever starts, I want to see the other one. I guess like game script depending, but again, Maxi hadn't really done much to stay out there, and we really started lacking in the energy department. I think defensively, like the press started to fall apart here. There was just no pressure from us defensively after that.
Nothing. I wanted to see him out at 55.
Yeah,
he's not doing anything. What the fuck is he on the field for?
Yeah, 64th minute, Rigoni takes a corner. It goes short to Danny, or he plays it short to Danny. Danny then fires it all the way across the box to the back post to Maxi. Maxi puts it back in the blender. That gets headed away. Falls to Owen. Kind of in between Gallagher and Owen. Galley, I think, takes a touch. Then it comes to Owen, and Galley makes a run around two Galaxy defenders who are closing down, and Owen tries to be maybe a little bit too cute here, right?
No.
Tries to kind of split them. And it is what it is, man. That's a bad turnover. If you don't complete that pass, it's going the other way, and that's where it was going. 3-on-1 for the Galaxy. Just poor Nick Lima on an island by himself. Ricky Pooch ends up putting that one away. His first goal of the season. And man, like, I guess with this, like, obviously, I think we are towards the top now in terms of the Owen Wolff defenders. Like, there's plenty of people that recognize his talent. I think there's a decent amount of the fan base that is starting to say he's just not quite ready to be that every week in, week out, 90-minute player. And I'll concede that.
I think
right?
that is fair. That is actually, I hadn't heard that yet because most
Uh-huh.
of it is just completely illogical, but that is fair.
Nepotism.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm okay. I'm on board with that.
Sure. But here's what I was leading to with that was I see takes now last night. And again, look, none of us have our best takes after a match, especially a loss, especially when the frustration is building up. But man, the takes that are like, well, now Owen Wolff, he made a turnover that led to a goal. So now he has to go to FC2 for 6 weeks, right? Like that's what we do. Comparing that play to what Kip Keller did against St. Louis is ludicrous. And I don't see how you can have that take unless you're joking. I don't know how you can have that take and not just be outing yourselves as one of the fucking people screaming nepotism, just like grasping at straws to get this kid for whatever reason off the pitch. Like he has brought way more positives to our team than negatives this year. There's no question about that. I have heard no less than 2 people throughout this season, and I think last season too, where like he's very similar in stature to Driussi. And I've heard people say Owen makes like one of those turns where he just leaves somebody in the dust or makes a sneaky pass or puts somebody on their ass with a little juke move. And people, I think it was Jose last night, was like, was that Driussi? I know, man. It's Wolff.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not comparing the two. It's just like the kid's got the sauce, man. And the fucking U.S. national team, look, you could say what you want about you know, the nepotism there. That's certainly a thing with the U.S., but look at the kids who he's playing over on this U19 and now the U20 team. Those kids who he's playing over start for their MLS teams.
Yeah.
So, again, maybe he's not the week in, week out, 90-minute guy or even starting every week. But to think that he hasn't earned his spot on this team is still fucking ridiculous. And to compare it to Kip and say that he should somehow be sent down to FC2, get the fuck out of here.
Our FC2 team would be fucking incredible.
They already are incredible, though. We don't need any more. We don't need to mess with that chemistry, man. Don't send any of these Austin FC first team guys down. No more. Oh, man. Okay, 67th minute. Boyd fouls Gallagher again. Boyd obviously on the yellow. There is some conversation there. Players get a little heated on the sideline. The officials come together. No second card given, but I thought that wouldn't have been the craziest call to give him a second yellow there. 69th minute. This is where we see the subs for both teams. We see Aguirre and Costa come in for Joveljic and Boyd for Austin. Triple sub, Redis, Lundqvist, Valencia for Finley, Gallagher, and Owen Wolff. 72nd minute, Austin in and around the box. Seba hits Danny. They try the little give and go. Seba gets obstructed a little bit. He goes down, calls for a PK from the good guys. On the replay, man, I didn't think there was much there. Like, there's contact. I thought it was pretty much shoulder to shoulder. And if they would have called a penalty like that on us, I would have lost my mind. So I don't think there was much in that for us. But I guess I respect Driussi knowing he's not going to get to it, feeling the contact and going down, because the ref wasn't good. Maybe he does call it. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, put a little heat on him.
Next minute, we get on the break again. So, there's this little bit of juice, just a little bit of juice in the early 70s here, right after that triple sub. Rigoni and Driussi 2-on-2 here. Rigoni on the left, cuts it back to his right, creates space for a shot, but also created a passing lane to Driussi, who was still onside. So, in the moment, I didn't hate the shot. On the rewatch, you notice the frustration from Driussi. You notice even more frustration from Josh Wolff on the sideline. Threw his hands up and walked back to the chairs. He was not happy with that play. And I didn't see that pass on live. Maybe I was just standing up like, oh, maybe we're going to get a goal for our best ball team here. Driussi was definitely open, but it felt like to me, trying to put myself in Rigoni's shoes there, like in hoops, right? Say you're on the break and you create space for the jump shot, but then because you lost your defender, the help side came over closer to you. So you're already in your shooting motion and you see out of the corner of your eye, like, okay, I have the pass, but now it's just maybe a little bit too late. That's my best guess on what was going through Emmy's head on that one.
Okay. Thinking about basketball.
That's all I got at this point, man.
Shit, he might be thinking about a different sport.
80th minute. Announcers notably saying, if you need some veteran goal scorers off the bench, you bring in Zardes and Bruin, and you laughed your ass off in the living room and said, yeah, we're bringing these two guys, these two monsters of offense, the Goliaths of goal scoring, 0 goals combined this season. 83rd minute. Look, to Jesse's credit, he came in and made an impact in the 15 minutes that he had there.
It's also just fucking crazy that he didn't play more being back in LA.
Yeah.
Bro, seeing Bruin and Giassi come off the bench at like the 80th minute.
It's more Bruin for me.
I can't watch Will Bruin even walk onto the pitch, man.
Bro, look, it's nothing against
beer.
Look, Will Bruin has done nothing to us. He has done nothing, by all accounts, but come in and try his damnedest for his team. But you made a great point last night, and we're going to continue the basketball talk here. I think you said, this is 90s era Jordan. Will Bruin was great in MLS in the 90s when Will Perdue could start for half the teams in the league. That's Will Bruin. And,
oh, my God.
It
got amplified. It became a thing for me when we played LAFC and they brought Ilya off the fucking bench with Bella, and we're bringing in Will fucking Bruin. And it's just okay.
Okay, look, but G had some good moments, I thought. 83rd minute, draws a foul on the left side of the 18, out wide. Okay, Lundqvist takes it. Jassy gets ahead to it, gets some power behind it, but again, it goes right at Klinsmann. I think that was our second shot on target of the night. We only had 2. So the fact that he comes right in, gets it on frame, that is a positive thing to do on your first touch, essentially, second touch. 2 minutes later, on the other side, great movement and connection between Douglas Costa and Ricky Puig. Gets Puig, kind of similar to what we saw Joveljic and Chicharito do earlier in the half.
Yeah.
Pooch gets in one on Stuver and luckily puts it over the net. He should have had his second there.
That's right.
And avoiding.
They bring in Douglas Costa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's God damn it.
88th minute, Driussi fouled again on the left side of the box, similar to where G was fouled 5 minutes before. I thought it could have been a card. None was given. We also see Zavaleta come in for Caligari to close it out here on the Galaxy side of things. The free kick comes in. Jassy is held by the jersey, by 2 hands. There was hand fighting by both there. VAR stopped the game, sent Chris Penso to the monitor. He ruled no penalty. I'm not super upset with it because there was the hand fighting both ways. I feel like that's maybe one where, if they give the penalty on the field, you don't overturn it and the penalty is taken. And if it's not given on the field, we go to review it and there's just not quite enough there because of the mutual contact there. But I get it. I totally get that Josh and the players after the match feel slighted by that, especially watching the slow-mo replay. So just adding insult to injury there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, shit, it wouldn't have done really anything for the outcome of the match, most likely, but it just would have been some good momentum going into, this game versus San Jose to have actually put a fucking goal on the board.
Yeah, and then the frustration kind of starts to boil over here. First minute of stoppage, Ring, 2-hand shoves Chicharito down to the ground. I don't hate it. Picks up a yellow, knew what he was doing. Yeah. 2 minutes later, Valencia gets a kind of a surprising shot off, kind of a scrum at the top of the box, just kind of blasts it wide left. But, at least they're trying to be a little bit dangerous there, I guess. Aguirre takes out Driussi from behind. He gets the yellow in the 4th minute of stoppage time. To me, that's one where, if Ring hadn't already come in and 2-hand shoved somebody, you fucking shove that kid to the ground for
someone should have got clipped for that.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
Felipe would have clipped that dude.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
he would have. I mean, and someone has to for this team.
Yeah.
You know, and Alex had already done it, and I mean, his was just frustration from the game. But this was something that needed a retaliation because it's a 2-0 game. It's fucking over.
Yeah.
You take a dangerous tackle like that on one of the best players in the league, like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And then closing it out, Josh Wolff gets in the book yellow card for yelling at the official. And fair, man. Hey, I got no problem with that.
Nope.
1.98 XG for the Galaxy to 0.95 for Austin. I believe the third straight match we've generated less than 1 XG on the FOTMob model. 18 shots to 11 in favor of the Galaxy. 8 to 2 on target, 12 to 2 corners, and like you mentioned, 62-38 possession in favor of the Galaxy. Anything else that you got to close this one out, man?
Again, we're not playing great, but this isn't just like an awful fucking team that we just lost to, you know, in California. I think, you know, the lineups that we've been seeing are obviously just sheerly out of necessity. And now with Rado here, and now with Kippy having his fucking, you know, confidence built back up, we got to try something else. And we got to move. And if it's Owen, I'm okay with it. And if it's Alex back to that spot, then great. So, you know, we're in a tough spot right now. We got to keep moving forward. We got to keep pushing. A very beatable San Jose team is coming to town. And we just got to get back on track. And nobody's going to give us 3 points in this league. And I think that's been the most, not the most frustrating thing, but one of the things that has, you know, exacerbated my frustration is that at times it looks like we feel like, all right, well, what we did last year, we can just, you know, we're going to be able to get 3 points out of somebody just because. And like I said earlier, you know, this isn't scripted. Like, you know, you got to go out and win these games. You got to be the aggressor. So, yeah, put it behind us and let the children avenge us. We'll have the last laugh there and get ready for San Jose.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much else to add. Oh, okay. One last thing, and then we do have a little bit of a surprise. You probably read it on the description of the episode, but a little interview coming up here in a second. I did see people suggesting that they as individuals, or maybe even us as fans, not go to the home games anymore as like a sign of protest to the form of the team. And even I did see one comparison, like the Galaxy supporters are doing it. And let me just say, that is 10 fucking years in the making. 10 years of frustration. That is why they are doing that. So that, to me, that is an insult towards those fans. And like, I don't know, I think we both stand behind what they're doing, because if we were shit for 10 years and not up to standard, like,
but there's way more than that too.
Yeah.
Like the Klein guy has got caught cheating.
Yeah. They have sanctions right now.
You know, and we fired our GM for doing bad shit. Like, we already took care of that. No, it's preposterous. If you don't want to come, then don't come. Someone will gladly buy your ticket.
Yeah. And look, and if it's a financial thing for you, I get it. That is totally different than just being, I'm just not going to go because I'm frustrated that we aren't winning. Like, that is part of being a fan.
Exactly.
Verde hasta la muerte, right? You don't fucking... Bro, we're 9 games into the season, our third season.
Yeah.
And we were a Final Four team last year. Now you're ready to fucking give it up?
Come on.
You're going to go sit out for a little while till the going gets good again?
Yeah.
Or you sit out now, you don't get to come back when we're good again.
I mean, part of me wants to just keep losing so that we can just weed these people out.
Yeah.
Just
everybody who's left gets to keep going.
Please just get out then, because this is a process, and we have already fucking described how it is not a linear process. You don't start a team and then boop, win a championship unless you're the Golden Knights.
Yeah. Or, you know, I mean, LAFC was pretty close. Atlanta. There's been some really good expansion sides, but still, I mean,
the league is better now.
Yeah, 100%.
It's more talented. There's more teams. So just fucking come on, man. Look. We still have a game in fucking hand.
Mm-hmm.
We are not catastrophically out of the playoff picture by any stretch of the imagination in this new fucking format that the MLS has. And we said it was ridiculous and stupid before but it is the best thing that has ever happened to this league. If we can get a fucking home playoff game.
Yeah.
We can get a home playoff game. And then the people who don't want to show up, you don't show up.
I mean, we are, again, like we are 2 games out of the 4 seed right now. 6 points.
For some other, like we have talked about the lineup discrepancy and talent discrepancy when you look at the LAFC squad, you look at the fucking LA Galaxy squad. These other teams, no. The talent gap between us and them is not something huge. So we're, come on.
Yeah, I mean, 25 games to go. It's good math, right? 25 games to go, 6 points back of a top 4 spot. There's still a long way to go. And again, I don't think either of us are saying that there's any sort of scent or sniff of success right now around this team. 5 straight games without a win in league play. It's not good right now. But
yes,
there's still some room to go down. We're not saying we can only go up, but there is a lot of room to improve. And you would have to think, watching this team for the first 2+ years, like that there are going to be improvements and changes made along the way here, and we're going to get healthier. And, we got to take it one match at a time. As much as plenty of people don't want to do that, that is what it is. One week at a time.
The points that we have right now are the points that we have right now. But here are here are a few other things that are also just facts. We still got to get into the fucking summer part of this season.
Yeah.
And those teams got to come play us in Q when it's 90 fucking 5 degrees. We still got that going for us, right? We still got 25 games left to play. We still theoretically have not had our best starting 11 for more than 5 minutes on the field at one time.
True.
Okay, so we do, and with that being said, we obviously have nothing going for us right now in regard to how well this team is playing.
Yeah.
But those things we do have going for us. So no, we can't fucking. I'm not going to convince somebody to not come to the games. Like, do it.
Yeah. Well, now that we're over an hour here, let's go ahead and get into Wednesday, we will recap Austin FC 2 taking on Galaxy 2 tonight. We will preview their next match. We will preview Austin's next match against San Jose coming up this Saturday at Q2. Man, even here on Sunday after a loss, I'm ready to get back there Saturday.
Can't fucking wait. I got 2 homies coming in from fucking New York.
Hell
They're going to be at their first game. They're going to get to experience it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. And it's VHL. What is it? It's no. I'm sorry. I got it fucked up. I was thinking of a different team than San Jose.
Okay.
Apologies.
Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about week 9 in MLS because we do like to touch on what else is going on in the league. We'll talk best ball updates. We'll talk betting picks, and we'll be in the studio. So we're very excited for Wednesday's episode. But right now, we had the pleasure of talking to the head coach of the 2023 Generation Adidas Cup champion U15 Austin FC Academy team, Coach Alex Olivares. So you're about to hear our chat with him. So hope you enjoy that. I think we gained some knowledge on what they're doing as an academy, kind of the academy system, the upcoming season, which actually kicked off yesterday. On Saturday, they played a doubleheader this weekend. So we thought it would be not just because obviously spurred on by their success at the GA Cup, but we definitely wanted to know, how can we support the academy as well? Because we have one of the greatest fan bases in the league, and I think there is some interest out there. So here's our conversation with Coach Olivares. All right, everybody, as we teased earlier in the episode, we are joined by the head coach of the Generation Adidas Cup champion U15 squad is Alex Olivares. Alex, really appreciate you joining us, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. We talked about earlier, enjoying a day off and preparing, I guess, mentally for a doubleheader that we got this weekend. So it's been kind of hectic since we got back. You're pulled into a world where it's nothing but soccer for 10 days straight. And they come back and it's my wife's 7 months pregnant. We're doing a house remodel.
Boy.
We're back to the regular season. So it's a lot of things going on at once. And you're all right. So it's taking about a week and a half to get back into the groove of things, but I think I'm going steady.
Yeah, man, I noticed like literally 15 minutes before we convened here that you guys start the regular season tomorrow. So again, really appreciate you taking the time here before this doubleheader this weekend. I know both of us, obviously we want to talk about the cup. We'll get to that. We'll talk about the upcoming season, but we wanted to know a little bit more about you. Like we've got the bio on the Academy site, right? And I guess my first question before we get into like your own background, there's 9 staff members listed. Yeah. 2 of you are named Alex Olivares. Like,
yeah.
Is there any confusion there?
So it's pretty funny. That's why they call me Alex. So Alex is like my nickname for my family, from my family, and then like my very close friends. Everyone else calls me Alex. But when I got to Austin FC, there was already an Alex and then Olivares as well. So we're like, well, how do we differentiate you? First time in my whole life I've met somebody with the same last name. We actually met first playing against each other. So he had come down from Madrid and got to Austin, was coaching for a local team. I was coaching for a local team. We played each other and we hit it off pretty well. And so he got hired on, I think, a little bit before I did as an intern. And yeah, so it's cool. We call each other tocayo. Tocayo in Spanish means like a namesake, right? So we're like a double tocayo. So we talk that way. I always give him stuff because I'm always like, I was here on the planet first. I'm older than you. I was in Austin before you. I was in the United States before you. So I'm the OG. He's listed on my phone as Alex Olivares 2. So.
Zach's listed on my phone as Mr. Second Place.
Oh yeah.
So who won the matchup between y'all when you first got head to head there?
He did.
Oh.
I know. And that's the only time we've ever played each other. He did. He had the better team, I think, at the time, but that's okay. We played well.
Okay. Well, on the same team now. And you mentioned you've been in Austin longer than him. You were telling us before we went live here that you're UT grad. And I know from your bio on the site, you spent some time coaching in the AISD ranks. I'm a product of AISD myself. So I guess tell us a little bit about what you were doing, coaching middle school, high school, and I guess the road from there, from graduating from UT to where you are now. Just give us a little bit more background on that process.
Yeah, I have an interesting path to where I'm at. I think very different from pretty much everybody. I went to school to be a journalism major. I wanted to do sportscasting. Fell in love with football, American football. I had grown up playing soccer and baseball. Never grew up playing American football. Fell in love with covering. I decided I wanted to coach it, and applied for like a middle school teaching job to coach football. And my athletic director was like, "Hey, is there anything else that you'd feel comfortable coaching?" And I said, "Well, I think I could coach soccer." And we started off coaching middle school soccer. And I had no clue what I was doing. Very quick. I mean, you can tell the talent. It's like, all right, that's a good guy. Give the ball to that guy, right? That's not that hard. But like in terms of like creating a structured lesson plan or like a session, and some of the details certainly that I know now, like clueless. And so first year, like finished the year coaching football and soccer. And I'm like, man, I gotta become a better soccer coach. Football is a really coach centric sport, so it's a little bit easier. You can diagram plays, you can tell them what to do. Soccer is a very player centric sport, so it's a lot more difficult. So then stayed in middle school for like 3 years. Won our middle school championship our second year. Really good team of players. Just lucky that they were all 7th graders the first year, and they all moved up to 8th grade the second year. And then from there, I got asked to coach at Crockett High School as like an assistant coach, the JV coach.
Cougars.
While I was doing American football too. So that was until about 2014. I did both. I was in line to be like an offensive coordinator, American football. But I also was really enjoying soccer. And so I came to like a crossroads of like, do I want to pursue American football? I was already a varsity running backs coach in AISD. I'd already called plays in a varsity game. Or do I want to pursue soccer? Because I'd gotten to the point where I can't really do both at a high level. I've got to pick one or the other. And I just thought, okay, well, what do I enjoy doing more? Coaching in practice or coaching in games? And it's like, well, I enjoy coaching in practice a lot more. And practices are a lot more fun in soccer than they are in football. Games are more fun in football because you have more control. But in soccer, the practices are a lot more fun. I said, I'm going to spend most of my time practicing. I'll do that. So I quit coaching high school football, and then started coaching club at a local club. worked my way up, became like an interim director of a club, moved over to a different club, became a curriculum director. And then like COVID hits, and I knew I wanted to change it up. I was kind of getting burnt out with coaching. It was just a lot of work of, you go, and by then I was already the varsity coach. You're coaching at 7:30 in the morning, and then your last session in club ends at like 9:00. So it's just and in between you're teaching. So and then all weekend you're gone. So I was like kind of getting burnt out of it. COVID hits. It gives me a little bit of break. And I was like, well, I want to look at pursuing different things. And so I took some analysis courses. I was always pretty decent tactically, and learned that. And through a connection that I had at Austin FC, I said, hey, would you guys be interested in me being an analyst for the club? And I gave a presentation, a breakdown of U.S. soccer, of the national team, Greg Berhalter's like for early years. And they loved it. Got put on as the assistant for the 15s as an intern with Javi Garcia, who's now at North Texas in their MLS2 team. And yeah, I got to work with that 15 group that had Micah Burton, that had like Dre Fournier, that had some of our better players. Nice. I really enjoyed spending time with them. I think I did a good enough job. And then, my boss, Juan and Tyson said, hey, do you want to come on full time as a coach? And, I'm not going to say there wasn't any hesitation, because it's a career change and everything's, different. And I miss high school, but I was certainly not going to turn that opportunity. And then just in the last few years, with coaches leaving for various reasons, we've been moved up. And I think this is my third team in 2 years. So I've know most of the academy players. And so, yeah, just a different deal, because I think most of our staff members either played professionally or worked at another professional club. And I like to tease that I'm like the Austinite here, because I'm the only one I've been here since 2002. So yeah.
Yeah, so you're bringing a little bit of a different flavor there in terms of your average coach you find in the system. One thing he and I were talking about, and I know he had some more questions on, is you're also listed as development phase coordinator here. I guess I'll turn it over to E. I don't want to. I know you had a couple questions you were talking to me about, so I'll let you take over from here.
Well, I'm super interested. Where did you take like analysis courses for soccer?
Yeah, so there's
for shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So MVP is like a Spanish platform that has different courses. They have one that's on analysis that talks about like kind of how to break down something. Okay. There's another company called Sports Management Worldwide that I looked into, and that's more like on the data side. And so that's like I became aware of data, and I thought, maybe that's a potential career path, because I was a math teacher. And so it was something that came easy to me. But those are the two that I took. Really, really beneficial in understanding like advanced statistics, and then also like looking at how do you break down an opponent, how do you break down your team, and look at trends and what's random, what's not random.
That's awesome. I'm going to take a look at that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So as Zach touched on a little bit, we're looking at development phase coordinator. That's a term I've never heard in my sports experience here. So is there anything you can like elaborate on with that, or what goes into that part of your job?
Yeah. So, we break up the ages into like development phase, which is like our 12, 13s and 14s, and then performance phase, which is our 15s and 17s. We differentiate in terms of like how we recruit players, what our curriculum is, and all those things. And so part of my role is, to try to help tie in the curriculum for those ages together, and help develop the strategy along with the coaching staff on what we should do at those ages. But I will say that like, we're still very much kind of a startup in terms of like we're 2 years into, a year and a half into really having the facility full time, to having our full collection of teams. And so much like a startup, like a lot of us wear different hats. And so it's, it's a cool title, but I think a lot of us are working on a bunch of different things. I'm heavy on the curriculum side. I think being a teacher, having done, cycles, lesson plans, I'm heavy there, but there's lots of people that have input in that as well. In our individualized, plans, we have people all around. And so it's very much like hey, we need someone to do this who has free time to be able to do this. And then it's very collaborative.
Cool. Now we've seen with the pro club, obviously we've made this kind of formational switch this year, some tactical changes that we're looking at. I'm interested to know if all phases of our club from top to bottom, bottom to top, however you want to do it, U15s, academy, up to the U17s, are they looking to implement tactical strategies and things along those lines that are being like matriculated from the top to like progress our players and these kids up in what we think should be, or we hope would be our, formation and strategy going forward? Or do you have complete free control over how you want to play the game, the formations you use, things like that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And there's a lot of layers, I think, to the answer. I'll start by saying, like, we're still in the process of creating our identity as an academy, because obviously head coaches are going to come and go. And so there's a balance of, like, you don't want to be too much like one head coach and because all of a sudden somebody comes and plays a completely different style, and then are you teaching that style, right? So I think that's one consideration. I'd say personally, and then from the people at the club that I work with, we really like our game model. We really like the way that the first team plays. And so, we have their principles of play. I think like structure and formation are important, right? Those are ways that you get matchups. But like the concepts, the ideas of like how to defend, how to attack, what we want to do, that's your principles. And that's the same regardless of, whether you're playing, a 3-2-2-3, whether you're playing a 4-3-3, whether you're playing a 4-5-1, whether you're playing, anything, right? It's cool. Hey, this is what we want to do. So that vocabulary is used all throughout, from 12 to like, to the second team, to the first team. I mean, the words that they use, the terms that they use to describe something are uniform throughout the academy. Obviously, for like an 11-year-old, what we're doing is very different from what like the first team's doing, like the amount of ball contacts, the concepts that we introduce them to. But we do have a pretty uniform style of play. Much like the first team, we want to be very positional. We want to have the ball a lot. We want to be a mid to high block team. That's the same. And the positive part is, I think that, we're on the same page as the head coach. And I believe that's going to become basically the style of the club, regardless of what who the head coach is. And that's something I think that's exciting. You think of Red Bull, like very defined playing style, very opposite from us, but like 100% when we play them, regardless of, what age group, we understand what's going to happen. Like, we're going to run to the ball and that's it, and so you better deal with it. And they do that at 11, 10, 9 years old, they're teaching those kids that, right? And so I'm excited, and I'm hopeful that like as we're creating our game model, as we're adapting what we do to the first team, that's something that's going to be there long term.
Very cool. Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Well, and I mean, obviously, I think most Austin FC fans right now frustrated with the first team's results or lack thereof. Again, it is a very long season, and we've certainly preached that on the podcast over the last few weeks. But the base of that structure is having a lot of success. Obviously, the next pro guys are off to a really hot start, but you guys ran the table at the Generation Adidas Cup. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that was probably most people's first exposure to our academy play. So like, I guess I would love for you to expand a little bit on like, what are the preparations that go into a trip like that? Like, again, as a former college coach, like, I know corralling a bunch of like teenagers, even at that 18, 19-year-old range, can be tough, going through an airport and 10 days in a hotel and all that stuff. So like, what were the preparations like, progressing through that group stage and then the knockout rounds, like the grind of this AAU type schedule? How did you guys handle that so well? And I guess it's a very broad question. Like, I guess talk a little bit about that experience from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, exhausting, right? Like, it's a different deal because you're in the middle of your season. It's like you play the Champions League in the middle of the season, but the finals also in the middle of the season, right? And
right.
So it becomes a different pace. We're used to very much we have doubleheader this weekend, but typically it's 1 week of training, one opponent, right? And how much we focus on the opponent, I think, varies a lot based on age, based on the opponent. We don't want to be too overly tactical with our kids, but that provides a unique situation where like you have an immediate goal that you have as a team. It's a collective goal that's immediate, because when you're day to day throughout the year, things are very individual, right? It's about like, how do we progress each person individually as far as we can, hopefully to the first team spot. And there is a playoff at the end of the year, but these kids have no concept of things that aren't immediate, right? And so It's hard for them to visualize, oh well, we need to do well here. And so this tournament provides like, a really cool opportunity for you to be in a bubble and focus, on the opponent, all the time, to focus on a collective goal, less so than an individual goal. I mean, those individual goals still remain. And I think you still allow you still use your individual's talent and the weight that they have on the field to have success, but there's a little bit more of a breakdown element, right? So, it starts with us getting the group stage opponents, and we know who they are. There's a breakdown of their games, understanding, how they're going to play, what they're going to do, so that we can prepare our kids. Not changing drastically from what we do, but little subtle changes of like, where do we want to set our line of confrontation? How do we want to structure ourselves when we have the ball in defensive third or in the middle third? When do we want to press, which is a big thing in tournaments, because, you can't implement a full press the entirety of a tournament unless you have a very, very deep team. And so we start with that. You get through the group stage. You're hoping to have a good spot. We go into the Columbus game knowing that, we probably need to win it to win the group. And you go through, you feel good, you get a day off, because it's really been back-to-back games every day. And then you start preparing for your next opponent. The difficult part is that after that, there's two possible opponents, right? And so, you can gamble and you can, guess it's like, oh, we'll probably play Red Bull in the next round, but you just don't know. So a lot of your breakdown doesn't happen until afterwards. So the pattern becomes 9 a.m. game, you win your game, you go home to the hotel, you eat lunch, you break down, you get the result of the other game, you break down the opponent. You have to have everything ready for like 8 p.m. team meeting. So you have your plan A installed at 8 p.m. You go back at like 9:30 p.m. You break down your game from that day. You review what happened in your game from that day. What are the takeaways from there? Because by then the film is uploaded. 11:30 comes. Okay, now plan B for the game that you're about to play. And so you're watching 3-4 games. So you're working to 2 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock at night, and then you're up at like 7 the next day. And it's like, all right, let's go again. And just funny story, the night of the final, the night before the final, it's like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, I got to pack now because we're going straight from here to the field and then to the hotel. And so I'm like, I'll hop in the shower really quickly. And our goalkeeper coach calls at like 3, knowing I'm going to be up at like 3 in the morning. And he's like, hey, which one of these is Red Bull? Which one of these is New York City? Which one of these is Philadelphia? And so we kind of talked through, and he's like, I think I have a good set play that'll have success against Philadelphia. And we almost scored on it. But that's just the workload, right? Like you're doing that till 3 in the morning every day. So, you come back on Sunday, all the adrenaline wears off, and you fall asleep for like 15 hours. That's what it was. So it was really cool. I'm glad it's once a year. It's like a super condensed version of a college or a high school schedule where you're, in college you're playing 2 games a week, in high school you're playing 2 games a week. Like, except you don't have any days off between them. So right. It's a lot of work. But I mean, as a staff, like I think it wasn't just us, the assistant, the goalkeeper coach, but like the 17s coach is working on his team, but then he's also helping you prepare for your game. And then he's going to your game and he's analyzing the opponent live. And so it really is a team effort. And then lastly, I'll just say like our sports and our high performance guy, the other Alex Olivares, like his ability to make sure that we're managing the workload throughout the tournament, that he's prepared the kids for this. It's just incredible. Like we went out of there and we had 0 injuries, no injuries at all, which is incredibly lucky. But also, testament to the work that he does to make sure that our kids are prepared for something like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I you're giving me flashbacks to that type of exhaustion, being, like a conference tournament type of deal or going out to a classic. And this was even longer. So, man, it was a blast to watch those games, especially like once we got to the knockout rounds and all those matches were broadcast. We were up early watching the games, against Genk in the shootout, and then the extended shootout in the title match against the Union. It was a blast, man. And I know that's going to be appointment viewing for us next year too. The couple matches that we'll get. And I guess also I would just highlight too, I think the U17s didn't lose a match in regulation. No. They took a couple tough shootout results, but they were great as well. And then, obviously bringing home the trophy and Figo gets the MVP. And I know Gavin was getting a lot of coverage too with David Goss out there and those guys, and Gavin getting called up today for the U15s for the US team. But you mentioned the season starting now this weekend. Can we just to close it out here? what goes into an academy season? I guess from a fan perspective to start. Can we watch any of these games? Like, can we come to them? Can we, like, I guess, talk to the fans a little bit about how we can support the academy? Because look, it's great to meet the guys at the airport and give them love on social media and have you guys out at halftime last week. But like, how can we continue the support as a fan base? Because we know we've got some of the best fans in the league and they want to support this club from the bottom up.
No, agreed. I think like the amount of messages I received from friends and the support we got when we came back was awesome. I agree as a fan of the club, you know, because I would have been a fan of this club regardless of whether I worked for them or not. I think we have a great supporter section at the top of the league. In terms of watching our games, all home games, I mean, all road games as well. You can come to St. David's and watch. You know, we play. The older kids play on the grass field, so you'll have to bring a chair. To watch the younger kids play on the turf field. There's a stand that's there. The pitch is there. So pretty much like you can look at our schedule on the MLS website and then pick a game that you want to come watch. This weekend we got 2 good home games, and we're in this part of the year where we're in playoff qualifiers, and so pretty much we're exclusive MLS opponents. I think we have St. Louis the week after. We have to go to Kansas City at some point. We're in Ohio for a doubleheader. So there's quite a few opportunities to come watch us. And I know that, you know, it'll be greatly appreciated. And then just, you know, touching back on what you talked about, the 17s real quick. Our team hit over the course of the tournament, 22 straight penalties. That is a statistical anomaly. Like it's supposed to be about 73, 74, some percent of that. Right. That's a crapshoot. We didn't miss one penalty the entire tournament, right? And so there's a lot of luck that goes on into these things, right? You have Julian Hall, who's maybe the best player in his age group in the country, get a red card 5 minutes into the game, right?
That helped us against Red Bull for sure. Right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It changes the game. It lets you let us have the ball more, which is the big thing. It's like we were thinking, okay, that game, guys will be ready to run, you know, and let us have the ball more. So there's a lot of luck that has to happen. I think we're proud as a staff in that, like, you know, results are important. What's more important for us is, can we get one of our kids to the first team? Can he debut at Q2? You know, Micah's taking a good step. But it's the work that we're putting in day to day. And sometimes, you know, you have all that work result in a victory like we had. There's a lot of luck that goes into it, but sometimes it happens. So for us, it's just, you know, we're preparing the teams all the same. Everyone's working really, really hard. Sometimes you'll get that result. Sometimes you won't, you know, but at the end of the day, like, I think it's good to have something that we can show the product of our labor and show just how much everyone's contributed to what we do.
Yeah, no question. Ian, you got anything else? I'm almost exhausted here in terms of the questions I had written down. Like, I have other things. I don't want to keep Coach all day, especially on his day off here. You got anything else before we close it out?
Well, how do you decompress on a day off? What do you got scheduled? What are you going to do? Clear your head, get ready for the season.
So I just went to Lowe's and dropped a bunch of money for a remodel. So I don't know if my days off are as fun as as fun as they should be, or I'm at doctor's appointments with the baby and things like that. But no, I mean, I you know, it's funny. I detach from soccer. All my friends watch a bunch of soccer. They watch Champions. I couldn't tell you. I didn't watch 1 minute Champions League this week. Part of it is because soccer's my job, right? And so I see a lot of it, but also because I enjoy other sports. I'm a huge hockey fan. I really like hockey.
Nice.
So I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan. Was at their opening night this year. It was pretty cool. It coincided with a wedding I had, was lucky. But got to see them. They played yesterday. So I'll watch some hockey. I enjoy that. I'm a big Spurs fan also. We're terrible at basketball right now. But hoping we get the number 1 pick overall. So massive San Antonio Spurs fan. So just trying to watch other sports, and then obviously college football is, you know, off right now. But if it were the fall, that's where I would be, is watching college football. So
yeah, and the Horns, I guess, right? Obviously, it's
Texas.
It's been a while. Yeah. It's been a while for us, but one of these
not so good. But hopefully, spring game looked good. Hopefully it'll be all right. Basketball, I'm really optimistic about. Us, you know, obviously really disappointed we didn't beat Miami and hold on to that lead. But I mean, I think the team's taking really positive steps, and it's a changing landscape. I can't imagine being a college coach right now and knowing that you're basically signing 1-year deals with all your players, and you have to recruit all the time, and you have to recruit, you know, we have to recruit, but those guys have to like constantly recruit the entire time to make sure that like next year's team is is solid, and that guy might not be a high school player. That guy might be playing for whoever, for Seton Hall or somebody, you know. So
JUCO.
Yeah, JUCO, exactly. You just don't know. So I think coaching in general is a grind.
One thing I don't miss about the coaching, I think, is the down or the up and back to Dallas to watch a player play at night, or the out and back to Houston, things like that. You know, even after or you know, after a morning college practice, all that stuff. And I'm glad you mentioned you're a Spurs fan. Obviously, you saw my fist pump. I'm with you. So much so, Coach, my dog is named Wembanyama.
Let's go. Fingers crossed.
We call him Wemby. Hey, we got the 14% chance, baby, and that's enough for us.
Hey, they haven't missed either. So when they're in the lottery, you know, they only draft Hall of Famers. That's how it works.
Yeah, you know, every 2 decades we'll draft an all-timer, and we'll
it's about time, I think.
So.
It's about time.
All right, man. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you joining us, giving us a little bit more insight into not just what you do with those academy boys, but just the academy structure itself. We will certainly make it out to some games this year. So good luck in the doubleheader this weekend. I know FC Dallas is up first, so right off the rip with a rivalry match. Anything for you before we get out of here?
No, sir. Just really appreciate you coming on, boss.
Anytime. Thanks, guys, so much. It was a pleasure talking to y'all.
Man, thanks one more time to Alex, to Coach Olivares. That was super cool to meet him virtually. Hopefully we'll get a chance to meet him in person soon. And man, I think we gotta get out to an academy match sooner rather than later.
I'm in. I can't even put into words how much I appreciated being able to talk to Coach there. That was awesome and insightful. Yeah. And just, you know, with all the shit that's going on, obviously with the first team, if you look at this organization top to bottom and what they're trying to build in this community, there's a lot of things to be excited about. And Coach is one of them. The kids they have on that team, the kids that we have coming up on the U17s, the next pro squad, it's just great. And I'm just really glad to be a part of it, and definitely shout out Coach for that.
Well, that wraps up episode 49 of the North End podcast. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. You can hit the notification bell to know when a new live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, on this video, hit that thumbs up, like the video, help us grow the channel and battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the Michelob Ultra of the North End. We will be back on Wednesday in studio for episode 50. Maybe we have to do something a little special for that. We'll see.
Oh, I'm gonna be on the road.
You said what?
I'm gonna be on the road
on Wednesday.
Oh no, sorry, Sunday. Next Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday. My apologies.
Looking ahead. I know we'll talk about your plans coming up.
Okay.
With those boys on Wednesday as well. So looking forward to Wednesday's episode. We appreciate you tuning in here. He's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.